Hello and welcome to another episode of Power and Purpose with Benir Pierre. I am so excited about tonight. My goodness, I have been waiting to have a conversation with Miss TeeJ Mercer. How are you, TeeJ?
I'm feeling good.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm feeling good.
Yes, ma'am. I thank you so much for joining me tonight. This has been a long anticipated conversation. So I thank you for taking some time to chat with me. For those who do not know TeeJ, first of all, you need to get your life. Where have you been?
Get your life.
Yes, please, honey. TeeJ Mercer is the walking exclamation point and a beast in media, a beast in television, a beast at everything, really. Is there anything that you don't beast out?
Cooking, cleaning. There's a lot, but I just don't talk about that.
Yes, ma'am. So, of course, we know you as, the best-selling author. We know you as the chief noisemaker, walking exclamation point. And I can attest the world's greatest hugger. But tell us a little bit about you and what you do.
Well, I am TeeJ Mercer, the chief noisemaker of the Media Mavericks Academy. It is my honor, my privilege, my pleasure, my joy to actually help authors and experts and coaches and entrepreneurs help them book themselves in the media without being a celebrity, without having a publicist, and without insider connections, except this one. I'm the insider connection.
Yes.
Yes. And my clients, my media mavericks, who I see them kind of chiming in here, they have been on everything from ABC, NBC, CBS, Fox, the Dr. Oz, the Doctor, Steve Harvey, Huffington Post, Forbes, Black Enterprise. And we're celebrating. Why I'm probably so on a 10 right now, Benir, is the fact that we are in the second anniversary month of me launching Media Mavericks. And I got so much yumminess coming up that it's got me on like,
yes.
I'm normally on a 10 anyway. But now I'm like really feeling myself. I'm on a 15. I'm on a 20 right now. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling it. So yeah, that's me. I spent 20 years in Hollywood working on notable shows like Extra, Bachelor, Swamp People, My Cat from Hell, LA Hair, The Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and then I also worked in the DVD and publicity genre for like Shrek, Chronicles of Narnia, Princess Diaries, Cars. So my resume is quite diverse in what I did as a television editor in Hollywood.
Okay, very nice. So basically, if you do not know TeeJ Mercer, you need to stop what you're doing right now and go ahead and follow her. Get your life.
Get your life, honey. Get some TeeJ in your life.
Yes. So how did you get started in media? Is that something you've always been interested in?
As far as are you asking media as the media maverick or media as in just television in general?
In television in general.
Okay. So my degree is in television. I went to Howard University. You know.
Yes, Bison.
Yes. So I graduated in 94, moved straight to Hollywood to pursue my dreams, and landed on the television show Extra, and the rest is, 20 plus years of history, basically.
Okay. Very nice. So you did that for 20 years. What made you decide to leave that and launch Media Mavericks?
Well, I really didn't have a say in the matter because as a woman of faith, I'm unapologetic about my belief. I am a Christian. I love me some Jesus. I'm a Jesus girl. And at the end of towards the end of 2014, he basically said, it's a wrap. God just said it. It's a wrap. You're done. 20 plus years. Now, that would be okay, maybe, Benir, if he had said, it's a wrap, and here's what you're getting ready to do next. Yeah,
we know that's not how it works.
He didn't tell me that part of the plan. He didn't tell me what I was going to leave TV, a lucrative career, top of my game, and leave and go do what? And so my last show was a show called Bar Rescue for Spike TV. I left that on February 28th. And for the next few months, I pretty much stressed out. You know, I'm just going to be honest with you. I stressed out because he wasn't talking. And Wells Fargo was still sending monthly notices that I needed to pay the mortgage. So I did that for about 2 or 3, 4 months. I'm not sure how long. And one morning, it was a Saturday morning, I was laying in bed talking to one of my good friends, J Mac. She's a wealth coach, life coach. She's in that industry. And she was doing an event. And she asked me, what do I have any suggestions? So I was like, well, yeah, you should just do media. Why don't you pitch a segment to the media and get booked? And I just kind of broke it all down for what she should pitch. And then if the pitch got picked up, how you should book it and everything. And she held the phone and was like, T, you know what you just did? And I was like, no. She was like, you just did that in 8 minutes. So here's what you get ready to do. You're going to take that and you're going to package it into a program. I don't care how you have to do it. You're going to package it into a program and you're going to sell it. And I'm getting ready to go on Facebook right now and I'm getting ready to make a post that TeeJ Mercer is getting ready to come out with this incredible program, but y'all all got to get in line behind me because I'm her first client.
Yes.
And that's exactly what she did. And basically I couldn't make my girl a lie. So I had to go create Media Mavericks, and Media Mavericks Academy was born. And I'm beyond, like I was doing a video today to celebrate the anniversary and I couldn't keep still, Benir. It's like, I kept thinking just the goodness of God. And I just kept thinking like, dude, I didn't see I had no idea. Oh my gosh, I'm getting excited. I had no idea.
Yes.
Like, I loved editing, Benir. I loved it. It wasn't like I was miserable. It wasn't like I was feeling, I ain't never going to be nobody entrepreneur. I loved only signing the back of checks. I love not having to be responsible to making sure the money was there for the front of the check. So it wasn't like he was pulling me out of something that I had been praying like, oh my God, I can't stand this. Let me get out. So I had no idea that he was moving me into something that I had no clue that I would love so much. And, I'm a crybaby and I'm seeing my Mavericks pop in, and they're posting.
Yes.
And I'm going, those are my babies. Those are my, like Coach Tawana. I just saw her say something. She's the LinkedIn professor. She's changing the game for people, wanting to do LinkedIn. And Tawana didn't want to be seen. Tawana wanted to stay hidden. And yet she trusted me to, do what I asked her to do. And, oh yeah, CT, you just want to see my face and image. You can thank, yes. And so when I love on them, when I see them, it's like, this is what I was born to do. That 20 years of Hollywood, it was for this. It was for I can serve these people. It was for I can serve these people and teach them how to not play small. Teach them that they are somebody's answered prayer. Teach them that they are the solution to someone's problem. And so they have a responsibility to make some noise about it because people are hurting. People are sitting there praying for what they have to offer and they got to make noise enough. And I know how to teach them how to make the noise. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Honey, you do not have to apologize. This is what I love about you. So that kind of leads me to you being the walking exclamation point.
I don't know why people call me that, Benir. I don't.
You don't know why? Mm-mm. You don't get it? No clue?
No clue.
Okay. Well, I can certainly tell you that it's because you do not walk into a space without changing every single person who comes into contact with you. And I have been in the space with you and can attest to that. So at least that's why I call you. And I don't know about the rest of them.
Thank you, Benir. It's not something that's happenstance. I'm very intentional. Mm-hmm. The people who follow me on Facebook, my friends know that I do, honestly, this is not just lip service. I actually wake up every day asking God, can you just show me how to be somebody's answered prayer today? Whether that's they're spending 5 minutes with me, they're spending 5 hours with me, or they're spending 5 days with me. I never want, even on this call, someone who, my brother is here and acting like I'm not doing an interview. um, we live. Hey, we live.
Oh, hey, at least he didn't run in with his pants down catching the kids, so he's good.
That, though. I have to warn him. I'm really doing a live interview, so I need you to have some sense. Yes. But yeah, it's just one of those things that I don't take for granted when people let me into their heart, into their space. I don't take it for granted that they trust me. So it is always my goal that whatever time that you spend, whether it's here on a Facebook Live or if it's me wrapping you in one of my trademark hugs, that you are forever impacted and changed and headed off into the world for the better.
Absolutely. Okay. So just so you know, some of your clients, not only are you one of my favorite people, your clients are my favorite people. Yeah! So you are the brain, like you said, behind my coach Tawana, LinkedIn professor. Yeah. Madison, tell me about some of the successes that you've seen with your Mavericks.
Oh my goodness. You gonna let me say Mavericks?
Yes.
Wow. Let me see. So you know about Tawana. I just told you about Tawana. And then I got this lovely, I'm a crybaby. So I got this lovely video today that just brought tears to my eyes from one of my Mavericks who's known as the word stylist named April Stedman Beverly. And April, before she became a Maverick, she just thought she was going to hide and write behind her laptop. That's all she was going to do. And so she sent me this message today to tell me all the stuff that she's been doing. Like, girlfriend has been speaking on stages. She killing it in the Facebook Live and live streaming. People are inviting her to do master classes and virtual summits. Like, she's all over the place. And once again, she's like Tawana, like, just did not want to be seen. And it's like, you don't come into my orbit. I have Mavericks who have actually invested in the program, Benir, believe this or not. They have invested in my program and flat out told me, I don't want to do media. And I'm going, well, why are you here? Because that's what I do. Like, and I ain't going to give you no discount because you don't want to do media. So why are you here? And I look around, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months later, they killing it and all over the place, that it's just like, okay, they just, they basically told me, God told me that I'm supposed to be around you for whatever reason. And I'm like, you sure about that? Because I ain't giving you your money back. if you change your mind that you didn't hear him right. But then, I've got, I interviewed the other day on in my private Facebook group, I interviewed Bernadette, Bernadette's Harris. I'm like, her last name just went from me. She took my master's class, devoured it, and her first pitch out, she got booked. We got Madison Harrison, my little mini Maverick. She's at the time she started working with me. She was a 9-year-old celebrity photographer who was, shot. That didn't sound good to say shot President Obama, but that didn't come out right. So she has photographed President Obama, and she's been on Steve Harvey. She nailed it on Steve Harvey. I was so proud of her. I got another mini media Maverick named Shy Curry. She's an all-natural vegan chef. She's killing the game. She met President Obama, gave him a cookbook. Girlfriend had her own cookbook. So my Mavericks are just, they all over the place. And they just killing it. And I couldn't be proud. I'm like a mama bear meet with mother hen when it comes to them.
Okay, very nice. So for you to pour out so much, you certainly have to be filled with your own light. Has it always been like that?
I was in an abusive marriage for several years, and in this very same house, my husband almost killed me several times, and he really did literally almost snuff my light out. And it took me a long time to heal from that, get over that, move on from that, and realize that he was ill. He had his own issues. He had his own set of pain and own set of hurt, and he took it out on me. And finally, the last straw was in November of 2009, in which I said no more. He had me pinned up against the wall right over my shoulder. And I thought I was just going to die. And this was, he'd done this before. He, choked me before, but this is the time that I saw him leave his body, and I saw him just check out, and I knew that I was going to die. That was just it. And the thing is, with domestic violence victims and survivors, a lot of times we don't save ourselves or leave for our own safety. It's what we're doing to someone else. And I knew in that moment that if I left this earth in this method, my mother would never forgive herself. Oh, and my mother and I are very tight, and I knew she would live the rest of her life in guilt, trying to figure out how she missed the signs, how she didn't know that her baby was living like this, and how just all these questions that she would never have answered. And so I just prayed to God, I need you to spare my life one last time, because I can't have my mother living with that guilt. So if you get him to let me go, I'm out of here. And he did. He, just like that, he let me go. And that was the day that I really started getting my life back and moving away from it. And you don't realize the dysfunction that you're in when you're in it. This is your normal. You have psychologically just made it normal and figured out how to cope. So it wasn't until I left for the final time, because I left him before, but it wasn't until I left for this time and was like, I'm done, I'm out, that I really started seeing how bad off I had become, and how basically I had no light left. And so no, it hasn't. I have not always been like this. It's been my personality until I kind of married him and the abuse started, and then it slowly started diminishing. But baby,
yes,
you got to put on some shades if you're gonna come around TeeJ, because I'm shining bright.
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that I love most about you. A lot of people see your power, they see your strength, but tall trees have to have deep roots.
Yeah.
And so for that light to shine, of course you had to face some shadows. And so one thing that I love about you is that you have this uncanny ability to heal and grow publicly. And in the process, you heal other people. And so one of the things that you did was write your book, The Six-Figured Battered Wife. Tell us a little bit about that.
The Six-Figured Battered Wife, once again, I should probably clarify, I'm the author of 3 books, and I didn't want to write any of them. I don't like writing. So
and you wrote this one in 3 days, right?
Yeah. If you listening to me, I've written 3 books. The first one I wrote in a week, published it in a month, and it went on to win 3 Beverly Hills Book Awards. Second book I wrote in 18 hours. That one is called So You Want to Be on a Reality Show, Insider Tips to Make the Cut. First book is called 40 Days to 40. And then third book, The Six-Figured Battered Wife, which Benir referenced, I wrote 40,000 words over the course of 3 days while I was cruising on my 25th class reunion. So my point is, I don't like to write. So if you got a book in you and you sit here telling me that you want to get your book done, you don't really want to get your book done, because it's possible. Because
right.
if I do this and I don't like writing, what can you do if you tell me you like to write? So I'm just going to leave that there. What was the question? What was the question now?
I mean, that was a notable moment, though. No excuses, get it done.
Exactly.
But I asked you to tell us a little bit about The Six-Figured Battered Wife.
The Six-Figured Battered Wife was the book that I wrote last because, let me see. People always have the question that they look at me. Renee could just write hashtag writer shade, really. People look at me and they don't believe that I was living a life where I'm at the top of my game in Hollywood. Well, in demand, working on some of the biggest shows. And every day I'm being made to feel like this, and I'm almost losing my life. And, they look at the outside and they just can't believe it. And then you've got people who just have legitimate questions like, why did you stay? And then you have the women who are in it don't know that they're in it like myself, and they're not recognizing the signs. So I wrote The Six-Figure Battered Wife so that people can start recognizing, so that, first of all, so that the women that were in it, I'm speaking their language and I'm walking through the escalation, because abusers you don't just marry someone who was hauled off and hit you. It was an escalation before that point. It was some nurturing that went down. It was some systematic ways of getting to you, so that by the time the violence actually starts, your whole shell, your self-esteem is gone. So I wrote Six Figures so that, one, people on the outside really could understand how somebody like me, high earning, successful, the bomb basically in their eyes, could ever stay this long with a man who would kill her. And then secondly, I wrote it for the people on the outside who have loved ones who they just don't understand what they can do to help. And then it's the book that you have to actually flip it over, and then it's going to walk you through. You have to physically, I wish I had thought to bring one in the house. But you actually physically have to flip the book over, and it walks you through 10 steps, which is shaped around my favorite word, resilience. So resilience is the acronym. And so it walks you through, how do you begin to put your life back together? Because I wanted people to see how I began to put my life back together after that.
And I think that's the important piece, because a lot of times we hear about the pain, we hear about the darkness, but we don't hear about how you got from there to where you are now. And you're absolutely right. You don't look like what you've been through. And so a lot of people assume, yes, honey, yes. And I have been following your page, so I know that your jeans are getting looser, honey.
Don't make me stand up and show you. Look, don't make me. I'm gonna hit you with a booty shot.
That is too funny. So
I got on my favorite jeans, and they now loose too. I used to couldn't be able to get in them. Now they loose. Don't make me show you, Benir.
That is too funny. I love your resilience. And I think you hit on a really important point, that because a lot of women don't look like what they're going through, not only do other people not realize it, but sometimes they don't either. Especially when we're talking about boss women like us who are at the top of our game. We're strong for everybody. And sometimes we can't even be strong for ourselves. So for a woman who is in that situation and she can't really connect with the term victim, and she doesn't see herself in these October memes that we share, what do you say to her?
Girl, that's good. I like the way you actually put that. That was the whole reason why I wrote Six Figure, because so let me back up. So when I wrote 40 Days to 40, the first book, and I touched on what had happened, my book editor, TeeJ Mercer, we were sitting right here, and she had the hardest time. I forget why she wanted me to do this, but now I look back and I know it was God really helping me start embracing. But throughout, whenever I would talk to, Lena asked, what's an October mean? October is Domestic Violence Month. Lena, that was a good question. I'm glad you asked. October is Domestic Violence Month. So during that time, you will see a lot more memes and things go around highlighting that. So for instance, I have a campaign called #ThankfulILeft, in which survivors shared their faces and letting people know that they are survivors. So that's what she means by meme. So thank you for asking that. That was a great question. But a lot of times, women are walking around on eggshells in their own home and they have no idea. And women like me, that we're smart, and so me actually quitting or me giving up, I know I'm smart enough to figure out why I can't figure out how to say good morning, honey, when I should be saying good morning, sunshine, and trust me, that's not just an example I'm throwing out there. I've had that conversation, with, you're supposed to know that you're supposed to say good morning, honey. And I go and do that the next day, and it's like, no, you're supposed to say, no, that today you're supposed, and it just became insane. And so you have these women who who they don't know this is going on. It's called gaslighting.
I don't know if you can see my note. I literally just wrote that word down.
It's gaslighting, where, they make you think you crazy, and it's crazy making. And so I speak in such a way, and when I speak, I normally try to give examples of, specific incidences, because it triggers, like, wait a minute, is that what's happening to me? Like, for a fact that the minute you leave your threshold, you handling stuff. But you come home and this is like, you made you just feel straight stupid. But then it makes you work harder, because it's like, no, I am not going to win at my career and suck at my marriage. That's just not going to happen. So that makes you work harder. And they know this. So that they're always changing what the rules are. It's like the minute you master, something they've been complaining about, Lord have mercy, I've had this, Lord.
Yes.
You master what they have complained about, or you work on it, then it turns into, well, it shouldn't have taken you that long. And it's always,
like this carrot they dangle.
Exactly. It's always a moving goal line. And, as a woman, you just don't notice what's happening. And so it's our job to, talk about the verbal escalation. The verbal abuse is, to me, way harder to recover from than the physical. I mean, the bruises around my neck, they were long gone. 4 years later, I was still trying to process why a man that, had promised to love me was calling me a dirty bitch and telling me that's why I can't have children after we had lost our daughter. You know what I'm saying? So that's the kind of words that actually linger, longer than the physical.
That's right. And so often we talk about the physical, but we don't talk about the financial abuse. So if you are in a relationship and you don't have control over your money, if you don't know where your money's going, if you have to get an allowance, that is financial abuse. Like you just said, TeeJ, gaslighting, making you feel like you're crazy, making things appear as if they are not what they really are.
And then actually convince you. Let me drop this acronym right now while I'm thinking about it. So whenever I do media, I talk about my media segment around the domestic violence is called I Don't Fix Crazy, or five signs you can tell you're sleeping next to crazy. And crazy is an acronym. So C, is he crafty in making the irrational seem rational? So he hit me with his left fist. True story. Hit me with his left fist, and then told me I should be glad that he hit me with the left, because can you imagine what would have happened if I hit you with the right? Now, in your rational mind, it makes sense. He's right-handed. Yeah. So it would, hurt more if he hit me with the right. But Negro, you shouldn't be hitting me, period. Let's just start there. So that's C. R, does he refuse to accept responsibility for his own actions and mistakes? Everything is your fault. Everything that happens to him somehow is tied to it being your fault. I remember I would get fussed at for stuff that I did before I even met him. But what kind of sense did that make?
Right. Right.
So A, does he assume the role of sole decision maker? Meaning, you have no say-so. It's tied to a lot of times to the financial abuse. You have no say-so. Now, I was the breadwinner in the house, which is why I had to end up paying alimony. Let that sink in. So I ended up paying alimony. And I came home one day from work, and there were ginormous cranes in my backyard, lifting out all of my palm trees. I didn't know that until I pulled up to the house. He made a unilateral decision that that's what he was going to do. And I didn't know this. So all the palm trees around the pool and everything are gone. Z, does he zero in on your mistakes, your quirks, your past, everything that you've done wrong? Does he zero in on your stuff? Meaning, no matter what you do, I don't care if you came in the door. I came in the door one day and he was standing here. Mind you, he hadn't worked in like a year or 2 years. And he yelled at me and was because I had worked that day like 12 or 14 hours and I just kicked my shoes off and they just landed wherever. And he yelled at me and said, "Oh my God, Swan, you're so lazy." And I had to stand there and look and go, this coming from the person that ain't working? And you gonna zero in on the fact that I just don't feel like putting my shoes up correctly? Really? And that was the day that I Don't Fix Crazy was born. Because I just looked at it like, you know what? I got nothing for that. I don't fix crazy. And then finally, the why is, does he yank at the mental, physical, and spiritual stability of your life? So going back to when I was saying, you know how, I'm going to stand up so maybe you can see how the booty got smaller. But you know how you actually, if you got a carpet down below and you, not a carpet, but a rug on a wooden floor, you spread your legs so you can keep a balance. Living with an abuser, it's like they're constantly pulling at that rug so you can't ever just find your balance. So you always doing this. You know, you never can actually get comfortable in what they say. You can't get comfortable in what they do because it's always going to change. So that's my acronym for crazy.
Okay. I absolutely love that. Thank you for sharing that. So, and one thing that you mentioned, which is a little known fact, you said that you were the primary breadwinner. And often women who earn more than their husbands are more likely to be victims of abuse, particularly emotional, psychological, and even financial.
I remember when he bought a $10,000 watch. Didn't tell me. And I wanted to buy a $50 gift card as a birthday gift. And he got upset because I didn't have a conversation with him about it. That is the kind of thing. And you sitting there in this and you going, this ain't making no sense. But it's okay. You go out and spend $10,000 on a Breitling. It was a beautiful watch, don't get me wrong. But you go and spend $10,000 on a Breitling, and we got to have a conversation about me spending $50? Like, why they do that? You know? And, I can't say where that comes from. You know, looking back on my side of the healing, my ex-husband had a lot of trauma in his life, and he had been through a lot. And I guess he just did what he knew, did what he was taught, and kept perpetuating the cycle. And, I harbor no ill will against him now. I don't need to ever talk to him again. Let's just be very honest. But if he was hurt in the middle of the street, I would stop and help him. And I may stay there till the ambulance got there. And then he on his own.
Yeah, and I love that, because a lot of times we think that to forgive someone means that we welcome them back with open arms. And I did an article called 11 Truths Every Survivor Needs to Know. And one of them was that forgiveness does not mean pardon. Forgiveness does not mean what you did was okay. And it doesn't even matter the reason. So maybe you had trauma growing up. Maybe you didn't have your mama. Maybe your toe hurts. Doesn't matter your reason for hurting me. I don't have to stay in that while you heal.
Right. And I also realized that, I was willing to work on the marriage under the condition he would actually own up and get help. He chose not to. And as long as you're going to be in denial about it, I can't help you. And I have, people that love me tremendously, and having a life to drive them crazy is important to them. I may get on all the people who love me, I may get on their last nerves. But I know that if I wasn't there to get on their last nerves, they would miss me terribly. And so I fought for my light for them first. I held on to their love for me until I could rekindle the love I had for myself.
I love that. Okay. What story did you believe about you? Because of course we know now that you're amazing and that you have noise to make in this world. What story did you believe about you while you were in that?
The main thing that he would always say to me is that people were intimidated by me. And I love you too, Andrea. People were intimidated by me, and my friends only tolerated me. They didn't love me. That my friends were afraid of me, that they didn't really respect me. And what I realized on the other side of the healing is that he was speaking of himself.
Mm-hmm.
He was jealous of the love that my friends had for me. He was jealous of the genuine family that I had, that come hell or high water, they were rolling with me. Come wrong, if I was wrong, it was like, okay, we getting you up out of here. We'll deal with why you were wrong later. But I realized that, and I can't say this is the case for every abuser, but I just realized in my case, a lot of things that he would say about me were actually him speaking of himself.
Absolutely. And I would say that's normally the case. Absolutely. Okay. So I heard you say that your breaking point was a time that he was choking you and you saw him leave his body. And so you knew that you needed to get out. How did you leave?
I wrote in Six Figure Battle Wife. It was almost like a Mission Impossible kind of, like, literally, with my cousin, my two cousins, and like I was like secret lot, because one of the things when I deal with trauma, I always inject humor. That's just my way. And it really felt like we were getting ready to go on a mission. Like, we had synchronized our watches and was like, you watch the front door while me and my other cousin empty the house. And I knew his routine. I knew he was cheating and had all kind of side chicks. And so I knew, what my windows were going to be to really get out of the house. Because this is my house. This is the house I bought when I was 25 years old. So I bought it for my 25th birthday present. And for me to want to leave this house, it had to be bad. For me to be willing to say, I'm out, and then go and get an apartment. So then I got to pay the rent on the apartment, and I got to pay the mortgage on this house. So I had hit my breaking point, and I stayed away from him. Like, I hid. Unfortunately, the marriage had already deteriorated to the point where he was always threatening to come to my job. And fortunately, in television, you bounce from show to show to show. So a lot of times I'm not in the same place. So it got to a point where I stopped telling him where I was working. So if he asked me where I was working, I would always just say, oh, I'm over in Hollywood. Oh, I'm over in Century City. Or I'm over in Marina Del Rey. So he would never know, because then that could give me an escape and some peace. Because then I know he can't show up, and surprise me on my job. And so when I left, I moved into a hotel for a month till I got my bearings. Baby, I was working. Benir, when I look back, I'm like, this is nothing but the grace of God and my cousin. At one point, I was working 20 hours a day, because in television, you end one show and then you have to time it so that you can go right into another show. And so you have a lot of downtime between. And because I left him in the top of November, I was headed into the Christmas holiday. If I didn't start another show sometime in November, I was going to be out of work until January or February. And knowing I had the mortgage and the rent on my apartment, I knew I couldn't afford any downtime. So I took two shows at the same time. So I'm working on one show in the daytime and another show in the evening. And so I was doing 20-hour days. 20-hour days. I don't know how I was able to pull that off, but I did that for a month. And I would sleep a lot. I'd crash and sleep on the weekend. And it was during that window that I just compartmentalized. It's like, I can't deal with this. I can't deal with the emotions. I got to function so that I'm not unemployed after the holiday, because I didn't know what my life was going to be out. Everything was so uncertain. Okay. So you clearly made it. And not only did you survive, but you are now thriving. Yeah.
So tell me about that distinction between a victim, survivor, and thriver.
That's a good question. So victim, obviously, you're in the middle of it, right? Survivor, you've gotten out of it. You're safe. But a thriver is a person who they're not content with just surviving. They're not just content with being safe. They are committed to living the best life possible. They're committed to not being shackled by that experience. They realize that they have an entire book called their life. And that experience of domestic violence or whatever it is, for me, it's domestic violence. For you, it could be, molestation. For you, it could be, assault, your mom, whatever it is just a chapter in the whole book. And so a thriver is a person that recognizes, I got where's the book? I don't have no book handy. I read books, don't get me wrong. I got but you just keep turning the page, But when I got to the end of the chapter on domestic abuse, I could stay there in the survivor, or I could turn the page and move into survivor. And I knew I wanted my life back. I knew that I wanted to love. I knew that even when I was going through the divorce, that I committed that I would not come out of that bitter. I knew I would pray, like, Lord, show me what I need to do to not be bitter. I do not want this impacting me if I ever love again. I don't want this to scar me because my life ain't over. That all went down when I was 37, 38 years old. So I knew I had a lot of life to go, and I wasn't going to be going 50, 60 years being bitter, Benir. That just wasn't me. And so a survivor is someone that whatever you have gone through, that you are committed to turn the page and start a new chapter.
I absolutely love that. And it's so important that we don't become bitter, because a lot of times we get out of it, but we're still reliving it. And I think one of the most devastating effects of abuse is the fact that years after the abuse is over, so often we are still stuck in our minds in that abuse.
Yes. And I'll be very honest with you. Sometimes you don't realize that there are things still lingering. So, for example, I had the privilege of doing a TV show called The Round, and it was on BET's sister network called Centric. And I was the premiere episode. I was the very first talk, and the show is a series of TED-style talks for Black women. And the name of my talk was Resilience is My Reality. And I talked about the fact that when I first, moved into entrepreneurship back in 2012, before God told me to go full time, that nothing I did was really taking flight. And finally, my coach, Lisa Nichols, she helped me see that I was still walking around with the words of my husband in my mind. Like, I left him physically, but his words still held real estate in my mind. So he had convinced me that I should never own a business, that I wasn't smart enough, that I should only be an editor. I'm only good for creativity, and that, business just was something beyond me. So because of those words, I never could shake that off until she helped me see it. And I realized, why he's still holding me back? And I kid you not, it was like somebody stuck a needle in my butt, because soon as I got that, it was like, phew, I took off. And that's when Media Mavericks went to a whole other level once I connected that I'm still playing small. I'm still diminishing what I'm good at. I'm still thinking that I could never master this business thing. So this is why, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's experienced this feeling, that somebody has convinced you that you're not good enough. Somebody has convinced you that you're not smart enough. Somebody has convinced you that you don't have what it takes. You're not cute enough. You're too fat. You too dark. You too light. You too small. Somebody has camped out in your mind, and it's holding you back. But baby, at some point, you got to realize that you were built by the creator of the universe. And that same creator of the universe who created the magnificent ocean, the beautiful skies, the things that go on forever, he created the masterpiece as you. He didn't make no mistake. He didn't make no junk. He made you to be beautiful and powerful. And you have a responsibility to start shaking all of that negative stuff off so you can take off.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Um,
What are
what are
some
some
things
things
besides
besides
coaching
coaching
that
that
helped
help
you
you?
start to shake those things off and step into this chief noisemaker you are now?
The fact that I knew I had a call on my life.
Hmm.
The fact that I know, you and I were talking before this interview, that the one thing that has happened, especially in the last 2 years where I really make more noise, is that I attract people who are attracted to my vulnerability and my transparency. I don't really have no secrets. Let's just keep it real. And the people here who know me, they know I tell everything. I may
Hmm.
not tell it in the moment, but I know that everything I go through is for a purpose. And God created me uniquely in a way that my mission in my life and my passion in my life is to actually speak on things that happen so that no one feel, oh, they're my tea lights. My tea lights in the house. Hi, Lipstick Chatter. And so that no one ever feels alone. They don't feel like I'm the only one who goes through this. I'm the only one who has ever done this. I'm going to
Hmm.
tell what I have done. I'm going to tell what I feel. I'm going to tell what I experience so that you know that you matter. I see you. I love you. There's no judgment, and we can do this and we can get past this because somebody else needs your testimony. So the one thing
Yes.
that drives me always to be better is knowing that I got people watching me. I got people counting on me to survive this. I got people counting on me to then tell them how I survived, what I thought. And Marinette said in the words of Lisa goes, yes, yes. But yeah, that's the one thing is that I realize this is bigger than me. I did a Facebook Live the
Hmm.
other day. It ain't about you.
Right.
It's about you. And my assistant is probably here, Reneka. She had to keep telling me this recently. Because I don't like doing Facebook Lives or I don't want to say I don't like, but the transparency is I was a TV editor for 20 years.
Hmm.
My job was to sit and watch TV. So the last thing I want to do is watch somebody's video. And so
Hmm.
what that would tell me is like I felt hypocritical that I don't want to watch somebody else's video. So why would I expect somebody else to watch my video? And
Hmm.
that she kept having to tell me, but it ain't about you, boo-boo. People need what you say. People need how you say it. They need you. And so she had
Hmm.
to keep telling myself that. So the one thing I always go in my mind to do is recognize it ain't about me. I don't care what I like. It doesn't matter what I like, what I don't like. I'm here to serve people. I'm here. See, she in there, she doing the amen. Reneka.
Hmm.
But I'm here to serve people. And if people telling me we like when you show up and run your mouth, we like when you all over the place, then that's what I'm gonna do because it ain't about me.
Hmm. Absolutely right. And I can certainly attest, we were talking about this before we started the broadcast, that one of the things, and I've been watching you for a while, just kind of peeking, had my eye on you. And one of the things that stood out most for me was last fall when you lost your niece T3.
Yeah.
And as it was happening, of course, all of our hearts were breaking with you, and wanting to pour into you, not knowing the words to say. And you showed up and not only gave us the words to say, but by showing your vulnerability through that, you not only helped yourself, but so many of us, because I then lost my aunt 2 months later. And I remember crying. I laid in the bed, probably for a good 4 days, and I gave myself permission to do so. And I remembered what you went through, and how you continued to show up. And I knew that I had to show up. And so personally, I want to thank you for that. And I know that I am not the only one that you have helped. Um, so often when we're going through things, especially as healers, especially as coaches, we have this mask on and we tell people how to get through it, but we don't allow them in when we're hurting too. And your ability to be vulnerable and let us in right there with you, right in the mess, please know that that has helped me get through so much more than somebody saying, oh, baby, it's going to be okay. So I thank you for your transparency.
And what's so interesting, so let me lay the foundation before we go there. So I had been invited to give a talk that was going to be held at the United Nations. And when I landed in New York, I got the phone call that my 8-month-old niece, who I affectionately nicknamed T3 for TJ number 3. I have 2 nieces, T2 and T3. So T3 had died. And I never left the airport. Delta got me on another flight and got me to Baton Rouge where my family was. And it's so fascinating to me because this is how I know I'm in my lane, because I don't even know what I'm doing. I didn't know what I was doing was different because I was just doing me. And what Benir is talking about is I would show up on Facebook and tell people I'm hurting. I would show up on Facebook and I tell people, don't get it twisted. I love God, but I ain't feeling him right now. Don't get it twisted that I ain't happy. I ain't happy at all. But my joy is non-negotiable in that I'm going to walk this out. I'm going to be real honest with God right now. Like, dude, I ain't feeling your decision. I know that you could have come up with a different way. You're God. So why did you have to, why did you have to do this? And so I just walked that out and not walking it out for nobody. It was me. And so what's really incredible is the amount of people that come to me and tell me when they lost someone, they thought of how I walked it out. And we lost her June 8th. And one of my business coaches for Media Maverick's first anniversary, I asked her what we should do. And she said, I want you to do 30 days of Make Some Noise fast. And I was just like, okay, I ain't feeling doing that, but I'm going to be obedient. And let me tell you, God showed up through them 30 days. It turned into something that I never saw coming. And there were days, Benir, that I would show up and I would just tell them the truth. Y'all, I got a lesson for y'all, but y'all got to deal with me through my tears because I'm hurting. And, I would just tell them, I'm hurting, and, I lost my own daughter. And now I've got to, I got to process the fact that for whatever reason, God, he took my daughter, he took my brother's daughter. Like, that ain't cool. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, I ain't feeling you on this, but you still God, but I ain't feeling you on this. And so I just walked that out. And so it's one of those things I know I'm in my calling because it ain't something I work at. I don't wake up and decide, okay, so what I'm going to walk out in front of them today. I wake up and I just be me. I wake up and I ask God, how am I going to be somebody's prayer today? What you want me to say? And so, my Facebook friends know I'm something to wake up and file 20 or 30 posts back to back to back on this stuff in my heart.
Yeah. Like, please take her phone, Renee.
My assistant calls me President 45. Like, okay, no, not my assistant. It's my brother Bill. Yeah, Bill. He's like, I'm going to take your phone. I'll just fire him off. But it's once again, I know I'm called to be transparent. I don't work at that. It's not something, the people here who know me, it's not something I work at. I just be. And so it's an honor when people like you tell me that me walking my grief out. I wore my grief out as a coat. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to hide it. I wasn't trying to pack it down. I walked it out. And to know that, you are one of several people who have, just told me how much it touched you and showed you that you don't have to hide it. Because I never thought about hiding it. You lose your knee. Why would I hide that? That was my angel. You lost your aunt. That hurt. Like, you would be crazy not to be hurting. So why we don't hide that we hurt? It's like that just doesn't make sense to me, and not realizing that for whatever reason, people have grown up with this. And maybe it has to do with I grew up playing hide and go seek in caskets. Because my dad is a mortician and we owned a funeral home. So I've always viewed death differently. I'm playing hide and go seek in caskets. I'm playing funeral. Right. When my cousins and I got together, we'd be in the funeral home chapel and we play funeral. And I would always like to be the one that was I would like to be on the organ, or like to be the mourner that would actually throw herself over the casket and be like, no, take me. But I've always dealt with grief differently. It was just something that was a part of life. But it's one of those things that, no, babe, if you hurt and you've lost somebody close to you, grieve that thing. Shut it down. The only reason why I did shut it down was because I committed that I was going to do 30 days. And by the time the grief would overtake me, we were already in. And so it was a lot of times their energy that got me through. Like I would break down and just have to stop for like a good 2 minutes. And I just need the messages. You just breathe, T, breathe, And it was like, I'm gonna teach y'all, but this is who you got. This is who you got. Right? I am what I am. I'm extra. I'm over the top. I'm crazy. I will get on your last nerve, but this is who I am. If you ain't for me, I'm okay with that. Keep pushing. So.
I love it. Not everybody's cup of tea, but some folks like coffee.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. So for those who are watching and they are still in that space where they're trying to find the resilience, they know they have some light. They've seen some glimpses of that light, but they can't quite tap into it. What tips do you have for them?
Here's the one thing I always tell people. You were born resilient. If it don't kill you, the one thing I've resolved, I'm coming back. I may stay down a long time, but I'm coming back. And you have to make that decision now. I had already resolved before the divorce how I was going to come out of the divorce.
Yes.
I had a decision in the midst. You don't decide to be resilient in the middle of the tragedy, in the middle of the drama. You make that decision beforehand and you recognize this is just another chapter. Once I get through this chapter, I'm coming out on the other side. You make that decision now, tonight, 6:57 PST time on July, what's the day? 13, 12, whatever it is. You make that decision now to come hell or high water, no matter what happens.
Yes.
If it doesn't kill you, you are coming back. Baby, I don't care how long you have to stay down, though. Don't get, I didn't think you got to bounce back up. Because the older you get, the more tragedies hit you and you stay down longer. That's fine. Long as you understand that you're going to actually pull yourself up to your knees, then you're going to pull yourself up and stand on your little wobbly legs.
Yes.
You're going to take one step holding on to the walker. Then you're going to take another step just holding on to the cane. And then you're going to take another step and another step and another step till you back to taking off running. But you are coming back. You were built resilient. You came into the world beating the odds. There was like a 1 in a trillion chance that you were going to be born. What is the likelihood of your particular mama meeting your particular daddy, deciding they like each other enough to get together for at least one time to then have all the sperm, find the right egg at the right time. You go through the first trimester. You don't end up, your mother doesn't have a miscarriage and you came out being born. You already came into the world resilient. Don't let nobody, don't let life trick you into thinking it's going to take you out. You came in resilient. Don't forget that.
I mean, I feel like this should be a mic. I should just drop it, you know? Yes, ma'am. So I see that we did have a question.
Okay.
Looks like Gerald commented.
Because sometimes I zone in and I'm not getting the stuff that's coming on the screen. So I don't have the
You are giving good stuff. So Gerald says, I needed to hear that. What do you say to spouses and parents who are embarrassed by your transparency? How do you handle that?
Spouses are a little different, Gerald. Make sure, okay, so let me put it to you like this way. That was a great question, Gerald. When I wrote 40 Days to 40, my first book, there were some things in there about my father that was not shedding a good light on who he used to be. Okay. But I knew I needed to tell my story.
Mm-hmm.
And that I wasn't telling. I was clear with the reader. If memory serves me correct, I wrote in there, this is not about my dad. This is about who I became as a result of what my dad did. And don't misunderstand. My dad is a wonderful man. He is the epitome of what it looks like when God truly gets a hold to your life. But I had to ask myself the question, Gerald, why am I sharing this? Does it really need to be shared? Am I sharing it to make myself feel better, or if I'm sharing it for the benefit? So my short answer would be to check your motives. Now, if you want to cause your spouse hurt and pain, you are one with her. So if you're causing your spouse pain, you're causing yourself pain. So in the case of a spouse, it's one of those things I would say be very prayerful about God moving on her heart as to, if you really feel like it's something you need to be transparent about and put it out there for the world to see, then pray that God moves on her heart and change her heart to see it. Because other than before that, you got to live with that decision of putting it out there. And I never want anybody headed to divorce. And so if it's going to cause your spouse pain, then be very mindful. And I would say that with the parents, but the parents are a separate thing because I knew this was about me. I honored my dad. I wasn't, and I made sure he read it beforehand. And he did have a problem putting it out there. However, watch this, Gerald. Let me show you this. Let me show you how cool this was.
Look at God.
He had a problem putting it out there, me putting it out there, even though I handled it in such a way that redeemed him. But it wasn't until I spoke at my dad's church and I spoke in another place where he saw how people drew to me and how they resonated that he then stood up in front of his church and told people I had a problem with her telling this. But how could I? This was her story. This was her truth. And I'm now seeing how her truth has helped other people. And so I'm good with it. But now, let me be very clear, Gerald. That's my dad. That's not my spouse. All right? That's not my spouse. So be very prayerful on if you need to share something that will hurt your spouse. Because you hurt your spouse, you're hurting you.
Excellent answer. Thank you, TeeJ.
Of course.
I thank you so much for such an amazing and powerful discussion. How you feeling?
Preacher's kid here, family reps me, everything. Exactly. I came out of that, Gerald, so I feel you. I totally feel you. Yes, I totally feel you. That's why you got to walk real circumspectly and very prayerfully about what you do. So yeah, Benir, I don't have the chat. I don't have the chat on my screen. So okay. I don't want to have you looked at the chat to make sure I've addressed any questions? Okay, so good. Yes, I feel complete.
Very good. I thank you so much for spending some time with me this evening. Yes. I know that you certainly have blessed me, and I'm sure you have blessed every single person in attendance. Yeah. Any final thoughts that you would like to share with us? And then for those who I know have fallen in love with you and for whatever reason have been under a rock and don't know you, please let us know how we can follow you and get in touch with you.
My final thoughts is just really what I would say is the Media Mavericks creed, which is when you know you are the answer to somebody's prayer and you are the solution to someone's problem, you have a responsibility to make some noise about it. So you can come play with me over at the Noisemaker Squad on Facebook, the Noisemaker Squad with TeeJ Mercer, as well as go to I Am a Noisemaker. I'm assuming one of my Mavericks is here. We'll type that in the chat for people. Go to IamANoisemaker.com, and there's some free yumminess there for you. And you may want to, if you think that you want some publicity for that stuff you need to make some noise about, regardless if it's publicity or you just want to learn how to make some noise, like some of my other Mavericks who I said earlier, they came to me, it's like, I don't want to do no media. And now they all over Facebook Live and actually serving people. Mark on your calendar July 23rd through the 27th, because that is Media Mavericks Madness Week. and I'm
Yes.
going to be going in on that. I'm going in. So go to IamANoisemaker.com or join us over at the Noisemaker Squad where we make some noise.
All righty. Well, thank you so much, TeeJ. And thank you everyone for watching. We will be back next Wednesday. And next Wednesday, I have a really special episode. Like, this wasn't super special. Next Wednesday, we will be sitting down with my very first client to talk about how to manifest your dreams. So I thank you guys for watching tonight. Join us next Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Thank you so much, TeeJ. I love you, honey.
Hug you, Benir. I'll be in Atlanta in September, by the way.
Okay, well then I will see you in September.
Yeah.
All righty. Thank you guys. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.